Well. What's going on, everybody? How you guys doing today? It's your love guru goddess here, and I want to talk to you guys about, types of dating, right? And, as I was putting this together, I realized, oh, geez, you know what? This just needs to be a multi-part series because there's just a lot of things to cover within dating, right? I mean, it's just a lot. A lot of stuff, all different kinds of, ways to date. Um, I just wanted to sort of be reflective on it and talk about, various different things within dating because, of course, like dating, first of all, as everyone knows, is pretty complicated. And, I wanted to sort of break down the types of dating that are out there and, how one is to navigate, especially through these hard times. So I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of a heads up. Um, I I I am now also accepting donations to the channel. So I have a link to my PayPal, my Venmo, and my Cash App. So if you like the content and you would like to participate, in donating, to the cause, please do so because it's much appreciated because I want to be able to create better content, great content people would actually listen to, um, you know, because I'm realizing that with this podcast, I notice that it's growing day by day, and I want to thank each and every one of you that have been tuning in to my podcast. And also, I do have a Instagram page as well, Love Guru Goddess, so you can go ahead and follow me on that. And donations are definitely always welcomed, and I want to thank you guys for supporting, my podcast. And it's been a really good journey, and I want to continue to give you guys, great content on love because I'm all about love. I am the Love Guru Goddess, and like I said before, love is in everything, love is everywhere. And especially during this time when we're going through a pandemic of the coronavirus, I sit up here and I pray to the gods, and the gods give me answers, and the gods are telling me everything is going to be okay. And and I meditate a lot, and I just want to let you guys know that everything's going to be fine. They are finding a cure, and everything will go smoothly. And so I'm asking that everyone to, always keep love in mind, and that things will get better. Right now, I know it's a little scary, but everything will be fine. So just keep that in mind, that the spirit realm is working closely. And the spirit realm is going to bless each and every one of us that just stays steadfast. So don't worry, don't stress. Everything will be okay. And all of you out there are going to be receiving many, many, many blessings. And just understand that I know this is not an easy time, especially financially. A lot of people are struggling. But just understand that always, 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 always keep in contact with the ones you love. And don't worry about the small stuff. Because the small stuff is what the government, um, they're trying to make sure that the small stuff um, will, you know, will subside. So I keep praying every single day that things will get better, and you know, love is love, love is beauty, love is kind, and as long as we all do really good dating practices and remind each other that we all love each other, then everything will be fine. So I don't want you guys to stress. Okay, now let's get to the topic of dating. So, trying to let you know, like, don't worry about things. Everything is going to be better. Just trust and believe that. Okay. So, got on a tangent there, but anyway, types of dating. So here we go. Um, so in the realm of dating, there's multiple different ways to date, and I remember I had mentioned my last podcast, and I want to thank Tiger Man, of course, for being on my last podcast. That um, they mentioned this new phenomenon because of the coronavirus epidemic that's going on. There's now virtual dating where apparently, you're doing things like you're doing a Netflix and chill FaceTime. You're doing stuff like going out, like doing something like a Twitch situation, where you are on Twitch playing a game together online. You're doing a lot of online stuff with your potential, partner, whoever that person may be. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's really interesting, but, yeah. Anyway, if you want that information, about the types of dating, I think as a matter of fact, I'm gonna try to, post it, on my Love Guru Goddess, Instagram page, because I just thought the stuff was rather, interesting, the types of ways to date. But now, I'm going to talk to you more about the more traditional dating that's out there, because there's just a lot of different things to unpack within dating. And then my next live podcast, which I may even do later on this afternoon, even, I'm going to talk about the types of relationships within dating. And so I may do that either today or tomorrow, or probably over the weekend or something, but I will just be discussing that sort of stuff. Okay, so types of dating. So standard dating. Standard dating is typically involves, just the two of you, right? So you and one other person, that is considered, quote unquote, a date. Now, within dating, the one thing that you have to understand is, like I mentioned before in my podcast, you guys have to both mutually agree that maybe this is a date, right? Because some people get confused, like, wait a minute, am I really dating this person? Or am I just going out to dinner, getting to know that person? And a lot of people get that confused. So I would highly suggest when you quote start dating, like, say, are we dating or are we not dating, or whatever the case may be. So you have to define if you guys are, and then you know most people typically go with the quote standard date, where it's just the two of you guys doing an activity together. Double date. Now, double date is when two couples meet somewhere at the same time and location and do the date together. So, like, for example, let's just say I'm gonna I'm gonna throw out, let's say, so here we go. Like, let's just say me and my guests, that my two guests I've had so far, um, which is Tiger Man. So let's just say me and Tiger Man went out on a double date with, I had my other guest, Molly, and then Molly brought, I don't know, Max along or whatever, right? That's considered a double date when two couples get together and they have dinner, movie, and things like that. So that's an example of a double date. Group date. So group date is when a whole bunch of people get in a group together. And I've seen this before where everybody goes out to dinner. And, typically I've seen this like in groups of like 6 people, 6 to 10 people maybe. And um, what they do is it's kind of like a circle situation where you get five people and 5 people together, and and they get together and they have dinner together and they talk and discuss. And usually what happens on these group dates is that at least 1 or 2 people end up hooking up, coupled up. They get booed up at the end of the date. So that's kind of an interesting thing. I like group dates. I've been on one and it was fun, and sometimes, like I said, I've been lucky in the sense that um I met a really cool dude one time off of a group date. So I definitely am an advocate of group dates. I think group dates are healthy because that typically happens. You'll meet one person that you connect with. And there's no pressure. It's just sort of like, let's all get together and, have fun and yay. And that's what usually happens. At least somebody ends up booing up by the end of the night. So I think it's really healthy and it's cool and it's fun. And of course, there's several dating uh, things. Like, for example, I was hearing about this thing called I think it's called Adventures, where you so for example, like I've seen the phenomenon online where there's like there's been like dating companies that have been starting up, especially within the last 20 years, that have they have like a paid membership so that you can go out on group dates and meet other people, which that's a really, really smart way to make money, by the way. I might even consider doing that myself. And it's where, you hook up, successful professionals and they get together and they have group dates. And then also I've also seen within this group dating thing, there's been like several singles groups where people get together, they pay a membership, they get together, and they do stuff together in a group date setting. So, you see a lot of that going on. So that's kind of a cool thing. Speed dating. Speed dating has definitely become a multi-million-dollar phenomenon. So speed dating, it's when you I've seen this happen before. So like, for example, you have, let's just say you have a group of 15 men and 15 women and they get together on a speed date. And what happens is you have, I think it's like about a minute to talk and get to know that person in like 1 minute. And then what happens is the guy usually moves to the right, and then they sit down next to the next, sits down right in front of the other girl, and they talk and blah blah blah. Now, speed dating is really interesting because you've only got like literally 1 minute to try to get to know that person, and that's for I've seen people do that where within 5 minutes the person is booed up, and I'm like, whoa. I'm like, how can you within 30 seconds or a minute or whatever, how long it is, get to know somebody? I mean, I think that's a really interesting phenomenon. But I've heard a lot of people, say, hey, I met so-and-so on a speed date, and they're married and have kids and everything like that, so more power to them. But speed dating is also really interesting. Like I said, it's very similar to group dating, but the difference is with speed dating, you only have like seconds to get to know that person, and that's really interesting, to say the least. And then last but not least is blind dating. So blind dating is when, let's just say, for instance, if I have a friend of mine. Okay, so let me just use this example of Sally and Dave. Okay, so Sally and Dave, I know that they're both single, and I know that they would be cute for one another, and I know that Sally and Dave have never met. Then I would set them up on a blind date where I'd say, hey, I have a friend named Sally. You want to meet her? And, and I've done this a few times. I've set people up on blind dates and they're married now. Hats off to me. But what's interesting with blind dates is you're not supposed to know what the person looks like in a traditional way, right? And I kind of like doing that, like, because it's kind of cool, because, like, I know this person is your type, and I know blah, blah, blah is your type, so why not put you guys together on a date, on a blind date? And so at the end of the blind date, you're hoping that, and I've been successful at least twice at this, putting putting two attractive people together who I feel are compatible with one another, and watching their love flourish into marriage. And that's why I'm your love guru goddess, because I'm all about love, and love is real, and love is honest, and love is truthful to me. So that's just a little mini little scope of, a little bit of blind dating. And then of course within blind dating, so some people do. I've heard this other saying, and I had to go look it up myself, and it's called relative dating, where relative dating is when you tend to go out on dates, based on, the relativeness of the date. And I know that's kind of interesting. So, like, for example, if you're going out on a date with somebody who, okay, let's just say, for example, you guys both like to go fish. Well, you guys are going to go out fishing, right? And then, I've heard the term absolute dating, where absolute dating is when, you basically take a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and you sort of like mix it up, and it's not always the same thing all the time. It's just strictly just, um, you know, crossing genres, and, making things, spicing it up and making things interesting in the relationship. So that was interesting how I heard those two terms, and I'm like, it just sounds like old dating, but some people like to, you know, use weird terminology. Now, what is your love guru goddess like in dating? Well, I've done all of them. I've done standard dating, I've done double dates, I've done speed dating, I've done group dating, but I've never done a blind date. That's the one thing I've never done. I never had anybody hook me up with somebody that I don't know, and that's an interesting one. Speed dating, yeah, I tried it once, and I did meet a guy on speed dating, but he was gross and weird. Like, he was trying to get me to, have sex with him and stuff like that, and I'm like, no, I'm not with that, but thanks. So, part two. I'm going to talk about, I'm going to specifically narrow it down to the types of relationships that are within dating. and that one's going to be interesting. And I'm going to specifically discuss with you guys, you know, what types of relationships that, you know, especially I've been in, and it's going to surprise you guys. I've done a lot within dating, so it's kind of cool. Now, I want to thank all of you that listen to the podcast. Please make sure you go ahead and follow me on Love Guru Goddess on Instagram and Facebook. I also put on the link, my link to, if you want to go ahead and donate to the channel, please do so. Donations are greatly appreciated and greatly needed on this channel. Also, I just wanted to give a special shout out to the guests I've had so far. I'm trying to get more guests on the show and give them kind of, you know, their own platform, you know, discuss, you know, stuff within my channel, and I'm really appreciating the podcast feedback. I've had people tell me, you know, Mallory, people tell me, hey, you know what, Love Guru Goddess and whatever. This is a really, really good channel. You're giving me good content, and I want to thank you so much for doing that. And that's my job, you know, Love Guru Goddess. My nickname's Mally Cat, so some people call me Mally Cat. They're like, Mally Cat, hey, you know, you're doing a great job with that podcast. I want to thank you guys so much for, you know, supporting me. It's been a fun journey. And for those of you out there, so in my lovely state of California, we are now on a stay-at-home, you know, mandate by Governor Gavin Newsom. So please take it seriously, to my Californians out there that are listening to it. And, you know, maybe virtual dating may be, you know, the thing to do for now until, you know, the mandate is over with here in the state of California. So don't feel bad. We'll all get through this. And if you are dating someone, you know, my suggestion would be try to call them every day. Do you know, FaceTime dates, you know, where you guys are eating dinner together, you know, as if you guys were out on a date together. Maybe that may be the new thing. FaceTiming your dating partner. Nothing wrong with that. So, I want to thank you guys for listening to this podcast. Please make sure you tune in whenever I'm on this thing. And take care of yourselves and each other. And just remember that I always say things out of love and not hate. And as far as dating goes, I think that I'm going to be open to blind dating now. I think, hey, why not try it? So, try them all. Try all forms of dating, and I highly recommend it because dating is fun. Alright, take care of each other. Bye-bye.